Good morning to one and all. Today we will discuss the elements of reinforced earth structures. First of all, the major elements of these reinforced earth structures are skin and reinforcement and filling materials. One by one, we have to discuss. In the skin, that means in our body, the skin is the major organism. Likely in the reinforced earth also, the skin having a major role for the protection purpose. We have to discuss one by one. First of all, the skin must have certain qualities. That means it have to be possess the certain qualities to protect the soil moss and reinforcement from external parameters. First, it should have a sufficient local resistance to retain the particles of earth consisted between two adjacent reinforcing members close to the surface. In this particular sentence, what we are having is the first, it should have sufficient local resistance. Normally, resistance means the force developed due to the application of internal stresses, that is called as a resistance. Whenever there is a application of forces, due to those forces there may be some resistance developed. Here the local resistance, that means due to the surrounding atmospheric conditions and application of forces, there may be some local resistance should be developed in the structure. The local resistance is capable to absorb and bear all those loads. Those resistance will be in between the particles and earth containing, that means particles of the earth containing between the two adjacent reinforcing members. That means two adjacent reinforced members means on the left hand side we are having one skin element, on the right hand side we are having another skin elements. Those two skin or facing elements are connected by the help of these rods or reinforcement arrangement, so that those reinforcement simply pick those two facing elements, so that due to those picking of those elements there may be some stresses developed internally. Those stresses must have to be borne by this skin element, but it must be also have sufficient flexibility to flow all deformations. That means normally deformation means whenever there is an application of load on the structure, due to this application of excessive loads on the member, there may be some deformation. Normally deformation will be takes place to these elastic materials. If the structural, that means the structure having some elastic material, automatically there may be deformation. And deformation also having two characteristics, temporary deformation and permanent deformation. If the material is elastic, it will having a temporarily deformation. If it is a plastic, it having some permanent deformation. So that we are simply taking here steel, so that steel having some elastic properties up to proportionality limit, so that it bears the stresses developed in the body up to a particular proportional limit. In forming internal part of the mass, the skin were rigid. That means the total skin whatever we are using for the purpose of reinforcing it is simply it is a rigid material. That means it will not having any deformation characteristics, only the steel having some deformation properties. It would find itself containing the members external to the reinforced earth mass of the supporting ground, for example. That means itself in contact with the members. The skin, the skin elements itself, they are having some contact with these members, so that those are able to carry these stresses and deformations. The reinforced earth mass is the supporting to the ground. That means the total mass whichever is imposed on the structure is capable to transfer that load to the ground itself. That is the major role for the skin in the reinforced earth. Next one, those are all about explanations about the skin. Next one, what are the different properties possessed by these skin elements in the reinforced earth? First of all, the boundary skin must have the particular property of adequate local resistance combined with overall flexibility. That means internally there may be some flexibility regarding to steel, and externally there may be regarding flexibility regarding these skin elements, and those regard those resistance also having some combined with the overall flexibility conditions. That means overall flexibility means whenever we are taking the total structure, that is comes under this overall flexibility. Why? Because one skin element is connected to the another skin element with proper bond mechanisms, so that this resistance also having some arrangements with all the skinning elements. It must acts as a protection by offering resistant by shock or absorption. That means it offers or protecting the total structural element by a shock. Shock means normally a sudden application of the load, or absorption. Shock means at national highways we have to observe a few quantities of accidents will be takes place. At that particular time, so the total force will be acting as a shock to the structure, so that those shocks also be beared by these skin elements. Next one, abrasion. Abrasion means automatically due to these natural calamities and wind actions and other waterlogging principles, and sometimes due to small quantities of accidents nearby these facing elements, there may be abrasion. Those abrasion also be faced by these skinning elements. It must be in a material or a color which is acceptable. It must be sufficient degree of tightness, or must provide drainage, so that there may be some quantity of drainage required. Why? Because the total water whichever is staggered on the surface of the earth, those water will be simply absorbed by this material which is present in this reinforcing earth contents, so that those water will be drained easily. Otherwise there may be some bulking or bulging of material takes place. Due to those conditions of bulging or bulking, the total structure is in mm, dry. That means total structure is in a wet condition, so that there may be some failure takes place due to this bulging or bulking phenomena. Due to this bulking or bulging, the structural features changes, and vehicular intensity also very high. That means if there is a vehicular intensity is very high and the structural features are very low, automatically the failure of the structure takes place. To decrease those kinds of failures to the structure, we have to maintain some drain holes between the facing elements, or beyond these facing elements, so that the tightness will be maintained in regular patterns. Thus the skin may plane or and may deflect through the sample elastically, and the material just like a rubber sheet. Normally rubber is a elastic material. It will expand whenever we are applying an external force, and simply it will come back to its original position after removing the stresses on that material. As a rubber, the total skin elements has to be act on this retaining earth reinforced structures. Why? Because if there is a structural that means radial deviation to that particular road, automatically the skin also have to face some quantities of these deviations at that points, so that it will have to be act as a rubber like material and have to possess some quantities of elasticity. To maintain those two conditions, the skin will be long last as a working member. But it may also having a flexible by making using curved areas. That means curved areas means here we have to observe the total line is in a curved portion, so that in those particular curved portion, here also another diagram is there. In those two diagrams, the total road surface is connected as a curved structures, so that whenever there is a curve means automatically the member have to possess some elastic properties. Overall flexibility due to these large curved surfaces, but it may also have flexibility by making use of curved areas with overall flexibility due to these larger curved surfaces. That means first of all we have to observe the tendency and profile curve. If it is a large scale curve, then depending upon those length values and width values, we have to choose different skin elements. That means in some of the cases they are going for rectangular elements, square elements, and trapezoidal elements, and next one is hexagonal elements. Likely here we are having different skinning elements. If the radial direction is very small, we have to go for a large blocks. If the radial direction is very high, automatically we have to choose a small scale elements. Why? Because small scale elements are very much sufficient in radial directions, whether the large scale members are not suitable to use in radial directions. Why? Because their surface area is very large compared to the small members, so that there may be some brittle properties to these concrete structures, so that due to this brittle property failure may takes place. To arrest those failure conditions, we have to go for a small members whenever there is a large radial distances. And the semi-elliptical cylindrical elements or skins arises from these principles. That means semi-elliptical or cylindrical. Why? Because we are having a radial length curve. To have to possess those kind of lengths, simply we will have to go for these cylindrical elements to arrest those kind of stresses. Starting with these basic elements, it is always possible to construct a body of an required size and reinforced earth. Because of the surface of the body can also having broken down and into a different patterns according to these elements of rectangles. Why? Because simply the materials are simply stretching in according to the radial direction of the lane. Due to this stretching, there may be some materials withstand due to the elastic properties. Some of the materials will fail due to these plastic properties. So that we have to understand what kind of materials we have to use for those radial patterns. This is the example figures with roads having these radial lines. Next one is the reinforcing elements. The reinforcing elements can be made out of this any material possessing the necessary tensile strength and it having a shape giving necessary friction surface required direction. That means reinforcing element. Normally for the purpose of reinforcement, simply we are using a steel. These reinforcing elements can made up of any material possessing necessary tensile strength. That means whatever the material it may be, that material should have to possess this tensile strength. Why? Because the force applying on the road have to be bared by this steel structure. That means steel members provided, so that the steel having some tensile properties. It may be any shape. That means normally we are using steel as a rounded bars, but here any shape we have to go. That means a small scale like structures or any other square bars, whatever they may be, but they have to possess high tensile stresses to counteract those forces. Next one, the strips, wire mesh, steel cables, aluminum alloy or plastic fabrics have been and could be used. So that normally in the purpose of construction we are choosing rounded bars, but in case of here reinforcing earth conditions, we have to choose different quantities of varieties. First major one they are preferring is strips. That means strip means a normal flat steel bar. That means flat steel, it should be look like a scale. The scales we have to fix with those both facing elements. Next one is the wire mesh. That means the facing elements have to be fixed with this wire mesh. Above and below the wire mesh we have to go for this filling of materials. And the third one is the steel cables. Normally these cables are in rounded shapes. Those cables we have to use by the help of these boltings, and we need to tighten the total facing elements. Next one is the aluminum alloy. Why we are going for this aluminum alloy means this is not mixing with the soil. It having more lifespan compared to other structural steel elements. And plastics fabric are have been used. That means in some of the cases, if there is more water content in the soil or heavy rainfall occurring areas, in those places we have to go for these plastics. Why? Because the total iron or any other aluminum alloys will have a capacity, that means property to corrode. To avoid those kind of facilities, we have to go for these plastic fabrics. Those are having long lifespan compared to those above materials. Most of the construction for walls have been used elongated reinforcing strips made of galvanized steel or aluminum magnesium alloys. That means most of the construction for walls, whenever we are using this construction of walls, for those purpose of construction of walls, we are using is elongated reinforcing strips. Strips means a flat plates we are using of small depth and a large diameter. That means large length and small depth. Those we will cut as a strips made by a galvanized iron or aluminum or some contents of magnesium incorporate with this aluminum alloys. Next one are the strips are disposed in horizontal layers and tied to the skin elements. Means we have to observe this is the total skin elements that we have to observe. The skin elements are connected with these strips. Those strips simply we will call as a reinforcement. For each strip to strip we are having a layer of this earth material. Those materials we have to compact. After the compaction is over, we have to go for another skin element, and skin to skin we have to be connected with these reinforcements. And there are a set of calculated distances depending upon the forces acting on the structure. It means if it is a very lengthy road, so that we have to go for some quantities of loads acting on each part of the structure. If it is a small width road, so that there may be some increment of stresses on the structure depending upon the load calculations. And these structural parameters like width, length and thickness, we have to go for this design. These are the examples. On bar to bar we are having some spacing. Those spacings we need to calculate according to this load conditions and structural parameters. Next material is the first one we are observed the skin element, second one we are observed the reinforcing element, and the third content is earth. Normally earth means this filling material, we will call as a earth material. Between the two horizontal layers of this reinforcing stirrups, in this diagram we have to observe there is a horizontal layers. That means for every horizontal layer we are using this stirrups, so that between these two horizontal layers we have to fill some quantity of earth material. Depending upon the purpose of the structure can be compacted or not. For suppose it is a loose soil and the structure capacities, we have to go for compaction. Some of the structures doesn't require compaction. Why? Because the soil is very fine, so that it won't have to do compaction. Soil is granular, then we have to go for compaction. And the earth is used in this paper covers a great number of natural soils composed mostly of granular material with amount of clay not exceeding the certain limit. That means what we are covering is number of natural soils and composed mostly of granular materials. That means normally for the purpose of construction of these structures we are going for these granular materials. The granular materials having more voids, and their shapes are also very irregular, so that in the particular conditions, whenever we are using these granular soils we have to go for proper densification methods. The limit varies with type of reinforcement used. That means Limit means normally compaction purpose is varies according to this reinforcement. General condition being that sufficient friction exists between the earth and the reinforcement to generate necessary tensile stresses in the reinforcement. That means limit for every structure there may be some limitations for load capacities and forces developed in the structure. Here also the limits are simply varies with the type of reinforcement used. The structure having in this particular figure we have to observe there is a reinforcement in the form of a flat belt like steel stirrups, so that those reinforcement type we have to fix first of all. Otherwise if we are using a less quantity of steel, automatically the failure will takes place in a easy manner. So that we have to calculate how much amount of load that the structure bears and what is the maximum quantity of load acting on the structure. According to the loads and their conditions and their mobility patterns, we have to arrange the length of the curve, that means length of the steel and percentage of the steel and distance between the steel bars. With the conventional type of reinforcement generally used, the condition is met with the earth having an internal friction angle of around 25 degrees, so that a geotechnical engineer have to be observe all these condition. Why? Because they have to maintain some proper friction angles between this soil mass and this reinforcing bars. Otherwise less content of friction means less distribution of these stresses from steel to this soil mass. If there is a less distribution of stresses means the total forces will be uh, dividing into these two facing elements, and there will be some structural leakage takes place. When building reinforced earth structures conventionally testing, that means some quantities of tests we need to conduct whenever we are going to use these structural parts for reinforcing earth. Normally the structural parts are first of all skin we need to test, that means how much amount of pressure it will be bears, what is the maximum compressive strength for those particular skinning element. Second one is the reinforcement bars, we need to go for the tensile strength of these reinforcement bars. After that we are having the soil mass. The soil mass also we have to observe the bearing capacity for that particular soil conditions. Next to major one we have to use is friction between this reinforced earth and reinforcement. Why? Because if there is no friction there is no stagnant, that means whenever the vehicle is moving on the road there will be some friction is need between the tire and the pavement, otherwise no brakes will be applied to the structure vehicle. Likely here also there will be some friction is required to the soil mass and these steel bars, then there will be some distribution of stresses and embankments. To be effective the reinforcing members must be connected to this earth. Since the reinforcing action results only from friction, it must be determined whether the friction exists or without sliding. That means if there is no friction to particular two members, definitely there will be a sliding portion or shear failure will takes place. So that definitely we have to go for some quantities of friction measures and improvement techniques between these parts. Let us consider two grains of earth in contact with a reinforcing member. That means two grains, a small particles we have to collect and we have to observe what is the friction between those two particles, in which angle the maximum friction they will get. So that we have to observe in a laboratory method. First of all here we are having a figure. In this particular figure we have to observe different particles or area, that means different particles are fixing to this reinforcement bar, so that what is the angle they are mating with this reinforcement bar according to this vertical plane, so that in which angle the friction will be more. Those conditions we have to SS. The figure 2 also we are having some boulder like particles. Those particles also having some friction angle between them. Okay, due to those friction angle also there may be some tensile forces will be acting on the steel rods. In the third figure also there may be some deformation takes place due to these forces acting on those materials on to the steel. In the contact forces makes an angle, so that those angle also having some tendency to uh, improve the stresses in the steel. It would transmits none of its stresses the earth and have no effect on the example or x or the second grain. That means totally we are having a number of grains, so that if there is a strain generated in the first cell, automatically those strains will have to be transferred to the second strain, and from second to third likely there may be strain distribution of until the strain will have a zero moment, that means a zero force, so that the strain simply causes or transfer to the steel members, and the steel also having some value of strain and it will enlarge. It would form no connection between the two neighboring grains, such as in cases of tie rods. That means tie rods we are using in the structural construction of this reinforcing earth. In those particular tie rod connections, there may be some less quantity of connection. In some of the cases, there may be no connection between those two positions. These are the examples for those friction angle maintained by the rod and these soil particles in different patterns and conditions. First of all, reinforced earth or mechanically stabilized earth is a soil constructed with artificial reinforcement. Here we have to observe MSC, that means mechanically stabilized earth having some artificial reinforcement used for different structures. Although the basic principles of mechanical stabilized earth have been different history. That means the total usage of these blocks starts from 1960. The reinforcement of these structural stirrups may vary from 50 mm to 125 mm. That means 2 inches to 5 inches wide. Reinforcement we are using. The stirrups are sometimes ribbed, although always provide some quantities of extra amount of resistance. Sometimes steel grids meshes are also used as a reinforcement. Several types of geosynthetics, all these are discussed. And how we have to design this soil reinforcement, that means earth reinforcement structures. What are the factors involved on those design principles? First one is the reinforced soil structure consisting of facing panels. That means facing panels means here the skin elements are the facing panels, and compacted fill incorporating with the racing elements. That means compacted fill incorporating with reinforcing elements. The fill material simply is a earth material. The reinforced soil block consists of compacting fill and reinforcing elements. First of all, we are having a different design principles. In those design principles, we have to go for one by one. This is the design criteria one. Totally, we are having 3 to 4 design criteria. So those criteria have to be discussed in today's class only. The structures shall be designed for a minimum life of 100 years. This is the lifespan we need to go for design of 100 years. That means minimum lifespan we have to assume as 100 years. The design loadings transferred from bridge abutments to the structures shall be specified on the drawings. That means what, from which position to which position the loads have been transferred. Those things we have to be mentioned in the structural drawings itself. Why? Because while they are constructing these reinforced earth structures, the field supervisors and engineers have to be understand by observing those drawings. When what is the first step of this construction work, and day by day how they have to process this construction by simply observing those drawings. What is the live load from the bridge approaches, and vertical and lateral loads from this earthwork shall be taken into account. Vertical and lateral loads. Vertical loads means those loads which will be carried by this movement of vehicles. Next one, lateral loads means the load which been carried out through this live load, that means wind loads and other external parameters like environments. Next, third point is the structure shall satisfy the stability requirements as per the norms of AS. That means American Standards 5100 for earth retaining structures. Normally, in our Indian purpose, we are referring code provisions according to IS provisions. But in case of these reinforced structures, simply we are referring AS 5100. That is the standard code book we are referring for the purpose of design of reinforced structures. We need to remember those. Allowable bearing pressures and settlements for the founding material under the reinforced soil block shall be determined by the designer from geotechnical investigations. That means geotechnical investigations means what is the basic primary conditions of the soil, what is the load bearing capacity, and capillary actions and the structural parameters have to be known. After the knowing all those parameters, they will go for filling material properties. Why? Because filling material also having some geotechnical properties. So by using those two conditions, they will give some data. Next, design criteria 2. Drainage provisions shall be provided where there is necessary to intercept the divert groundwater and surface water to prevent scour or development of the hydrostatic pressure behind the facing elements. Why? Because in the first and second chapters we have observed some densification measures and dewatering methods. In those dewatering methods, what we have to observe is if there is a presence of this water content in the structure, automatically the forcing elements and the soil structure having a tendency to deform. So that we have to observe, and we need to give some quantities of this water removing capacities. That means water we need to remove by constructing a simply some quantities of small ditches and others where there is a necessary to intercept or divert the groundwater and surface water to prevent scour or development of hydrostatic pressures behind the facing panels or saturation of any fill approaches, and shall incorporate the provisions to prevent saturation of the backfill and even of a leaking of water main. Why? Because if the total water is simply allowing into the structure, then the self weight of the structure will be very high. We need to counteract those self weight by simply constructing a small scale of drain holes and sink holes in the structure, so that the total water will be passing through those drain holes and sink holes. Definitely the structure will be a water tight structure. The drawing shall be clearly showing the drainage provisions. In the first class, we have to show these soil parameters, that means soil strength and for on which way to which way the construction to be carried out. But in case of second drawing, we have to show these drainage properties. And the third criteria is for a straight walls, the design shall be provided for 1 to 40 slope in a vertical wall facing. That means 1 to 40 slope, 1 in 40 we have to maintain. And the design is to be cater for future extensions. And the design shall be allow both initial and future configurations. That means on the initial stage what we have to go, at the final stage what we have to collect, all those things we have to mention in the design. For walls which are to be extended in height, initially placed reinforcement and facing panels shall be designed to resist the future height wall and structural surcharge without adjustment, except a removal of non-standard capillary panels. Those things also have to maintain. Why? Because removal of non-standard capping panels. Fourth one is the for walls that are being extended laterally, and extension shall be able to constructed without disturbing the reinforcing stirrups and main bars in the place. The total third criteria is entirely related to this placing of these slope conditions and stability conditions and reinforcing bar placements. And next one is related to these wall facings. First of all, we have to recollect these three design criteria. So first of design criteria, we have to observe the lifespan. After the lifespan is over, we have to go for these drawing conditions. What is the first stage of construction, second stage of construction, and last stage of construction? Those things we have to mention. And in the last, we have to give some quantities of parameters of these structural soil elements. Those soils, that means what is the minimum value of this soil, maximum value of the soil, soil bearing capacity, plasticity limits, liquid limits, and shrinkage limits, and shear limits. All those things we have to mention in the drawing. On the second condition, majorly we have to discuss on this water, that means water flowable properties in the structure. So in the structure itself, we have to maintain some this water removal techniques, like these boreholes we have to, that means not boreholes, groundwater percolation pits we have to maintain to counteract this stagnant of water. And those drawings also we have to maintain in the engineering drawing. Third condition is we have to go for these stability conditions for the purpose of slope conditions. The slope is if the slope is straight, automatically the structure will be having a tendency of taking down all the forces. Next one is the materials. First we have to we are observing the properties of this reinforced earth. Second one, elements of this reinforced earth. And after that we are using these properties. And next one is this materials, what we are using for this reinforcing element. First of all, we have to observe these wall facings. What are the wall facings, how they are designed. And the second one is totally related to this joint fillers. What is the joint filler? That means the facing element to this reinforcement element, we are having some joints. After the connection is over, what we have to do to stabilize those conditions. And next one is related to this soil reinforcing, different elements for this soil reinforcement, and different standards. After that, we have to go for this backfill. Above the soil reinforcement, we have to go for this backfill. After the backfill is also over, we have to go for connections between these facing elements and bars. These are the examples for the connections and main principles of this soil reinforcement. And these things we have to observe clearly. This is the total soil reinforcement they are placing. This is the embankment, and below that we are having some drain holes. All those things we have to observe in a manner. That means simply they are maintaining some quantities of slopes and facing elements and embankments. All those are constructed. This is the one of the application. This also we have to know. And crib block reinforced. These are the different types of retaining walls. This is the another type of retaining wall. And first of all, we have to observe. Why? Because we are discussing the properties of materials and types and their physical properties. And next one, elements of this reinforced earth retaining walls. And in the elements also we are having these properties and model provisions and classifications. Once we have to understand those things by using these pictures. This is the one of the best example for reinforced earth what we are observing in our daily lives. These are the facing elements and abutments. In this particular figure we have to observe the total foundation and these facing elements and merging of two roads is here, and some pile foundation and abutments also there. On the abutment we are having the total structure. This is also another example for this reinforced earth. This is also another picture showing reinforced earth. Okay, we will continue next class by another kind of examples.